Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our webinar today. Thanks for finding time. Thanks for some of you folks, that's definitely morning, some's probably afternoon. Maybe there are some people joining now from the evening time zone. In any case, just a couple of housekeeping questions at the very beginning. I'll be happy to share some information about the use cases that we had, some maybe experience of my team that we had during incident response process. We will have some polls during this presentation, so I'm encouraging you to take an active part in this. Hope you find it funny, interesting, and useful. There is also a Q&A session at the end. So in general, I'll be happy to present you and give you some insights into what we do. We had a lot of conversations with my team about, what is the most appropriate way to share our experience, our values, our incident response cases. And you know that incident response detection and response, managed detection and response, it definitely requires people to think about some different stuff, tools to provide data, to provide analytics. You need solid processes to maybe to avoid mistakes and assure the quality. But as the more alerts are being generated, the more information you ingest, the more information you process, the more analysis time it takes now. So analysts, they need to take decision as soon as possible, like instantly. The dwell time is decreasing all the time, and malicious actors are trying to establish themselves in your infrastructure as soon as possible. So they use automation, and that's what we defenders need to do as well. So in this case, I will want to, emphasize on automation side, first of all, and the other one would be a visibility part. So it's definitely hard to see colors when you're blind, and it's been said that information rules the world. In the world of cybersecurity, I know that data insights and telemetry is something that you need to have, you need to reach, you need to strive to get it all the time. And modern SOC teams, they just heavily rely on different security tools. But what happens if a security tool fails? Is organization at the risk of a breach? And what could be a solution here? Adding more tools, adding more people, having AI on top of it. Well, let's just try to think about it. And let me share with you the lessons that we learned during the advanced incident response practice. Focus for today would be on the practical moments of incident detection, incident response, the challenges that you might probably face, and we actually faced in this particular case, and maybe a simple but a reliable working solution that we discovered. I'd like to share the automation and routine and how simple actions and proper decision actually help. So my goal is to equip you with the practical tips and show maybe some other side of incident detection and response. Hope you guys ready. My name is Andrew. I work as Managed Detection and Response Director with UnderDefense. Well, I have a lead I'm in a brilliant team of security professionals, and those guys and girls, they are passionate to make cyber world safer, nicer place than it currently is. So every day we face a lot of attempts to actually break into different clients' environments. We do our best to analyze telemetry. We focus on tactics, we analyze techniques, procedures, and we also focus on emergent threat patterns. And that's actually when we came up to a question of macOS security. Quick question. Did you have any security issues with your Macs? Just think about it, maybe answer to yourself. Because from what my tier 3 analysts, incident response leads come and say that, proactive threat hunting, this approach brings you invaluable insights into how to protect the companies. And the more they bring up, the more questions arise. That's natural. And we are seeing more and more issues coming up with macOS security. During sales calls, during different meetings that I have on the conferences, on different meetings, meetups, I get to meet CISO incident response leads from different companies, and some of them actually advocate for Mac security. They say that these solutions are like the best in the world, and they're emphasizing its bulletproof nature. So I usually have my notes in front of me just to make sure that comply to those facts. And first of those facts would be that Apple has a built-in defense. Indeed, like it has a good security features. It has been directly integrated into our operating system. It has separate AV antivirus module. It has like features like XP Protect and everything. But is it enough? The other argument that they have is the privacy focus. So Apple prioritizes user privacy. They focus a lot on features like permissions, like permission controls. So you can do something like do not allow users and restrict some app access. And it's a real cool feature. The other argument, and it's really important, is that macOS has a lower threat landscape. It has a smaller market, indeed. Comparing to Windows, Linux systems, macOS is definitely a smaller market value at the moment, but they are proportionally, if you look at the proportion of this, it's definitely something that you want to pay attention to. Sandboxing, yeah, definitely. macOS utilizes sandboxing. It helps to restrict app access. It limits the potential damage, and it's an extremely wonderful feature that they have, as well as the last, but probably not least one, having a good hardware integration. And of course, the Apple Silicon chips that they have secure enclave. It seems like this dedicated chip makes it impossible and safeguards user data to to keep fingerprints, passwords as safe as possible. Well, definitely the two last being my favorite because, according to macOS users, at least some of them, there is no need to buy any endpoint detection response solutions. There is no need to protect those. We are in a good shape. No need to buy even a managed detection response practice because some of them say it's just the marketing companies. Well, I just wanted, to break the myth over here. These two guys, they always inspired me to take some issues or statements and doubt those, and to make sure that let's check if there's any kryptonite, anything capable of breaking down these solid macOS walls, and if it's really so. So the reality behind this is a little bit different. So the first poll, as I mentioned, I will just start it in a second. Give me a minute. Yeah, it's loading. You should be able to see a poll on your screen at the moment. So the reality behind vulnerabilities is something a little bit different. First of all, malicious actors are constantly shifting threat landscape. So as number of Linux and machine systems in the world is, as I mentioned, nowhere comparing to macOS systems, the growing popularity of macOS makes it more attractive. It makes it, for attackers, the user base for macOS expands. The potential reward when you hack those is definitely something that you would want to increase, and that's what happens. The other argument is, of course, the social engineering. Regardless of the OS, social engineering is something that does not care about the OS that you use. The deceptive techniques can lure macOS, Windows, Linux, whatever user into installing malware and giving away the credentials. So even if you have a false sense of security due to this macOS reputation, it still does not help much. So in reality, it always comes to a question for pros and cons of having different security tools. And I would like to emphasize that hackers tend to receive their goals in the fastest and the most effortless way possible. And that is why the third argument say that targeting attacks are much more popular nowadays. Some malware systems, they attack just so-called spread and hack technique, just dumping and getting all around the place, trying to infect as much as possible system. But malicious actors may specifically choose macOS and target high valuable users like creative professionals, like business executives, like the ones who have an access to different sensitive data. And you can see the information on the slide now that a lot of like news feeds are just filled with information about the current macOS vulnerabilities found. So who are malicious actors actually stealing from? That's the target personas that we mentioned at the previous slide. I would say that they try to, first of all, target cherry on the pie, those being like DevOps type guys, wonderful professionals. I love working with those, but some of those have been so extremely self-confident, so stubborn that sometimes they just do not care much about the security. But on the other hand, they have a lot of access, a lot of credentials, something you want to achieve. The marketing. When we say marketing, you can count finance, HR, whatever front end department facing customers you have. So marketing, they have lots of communication methods like I don't know, Slack teams, emails, phone calls, whatever, and they're always under time pressure. Being under time pressure means that malicious actors are in a valuable position to strike and make them work on their behalf. And of course, managers. Well, managers believe they should not be a target at all. They have like little or no value to hackers. They like do not possess credentials. They don't have like sensitive data. So that's not the case for malicious actors. And I just wanted to emphasize that everyone is a target. Once you get into the system, once you get into the environment, that's where you want to stay, and that's where you want to actually continue if you are a malicious actor. And we have the poll results now. So 46% of you guys say that we have something like from 11 to 99 vulnerabilities found. And the correct answer, like what of 25% of the whole you guys that responded say that between 100 and 500. That's great. I'm closing the poll at the moment. And let me give you an insight into this data that we have on the screen now. So first of all, malicious actors exploit vulnerabilities. The more vulnerabilities found, the easier it is to exploit. And software always have different vulnerabilities. Apple works fine, and they are diligently to patch those vulnerabilities, but attackers, they are constantly searching for new ones. They try to exploit system after system, including macOS. And just as you can see, in a few months of 2024, according to official statistics, there is like 174 new vulnerabilities reported. And about 50 of those were actually scoring 6.0 or above, according to common vulnerability score. Yeah, so once you see the alert, there is always an evidence of exploiting this type of vulnerabilities within your infrastructure. I should say that that's a really correct station over here. The most common type of a new macOS malware is undoubtedly the stealers, info stealers. I just want to recap what info stealers are and what they focus on. First of all, of course, that's a sensitive data. So stealers want to get your sensitive data. They targeting any valuable information you might have, login credentials like browsing cookies, cryptocurrency wallets, etc., anything that might be of use. They use the data exfiltration technique. So once they steal your information, it can be used for various reasons, like financial gain, identity theft. They can use the further attack on your system. They can even sell this information. And, you know, it's really hard sometimes in some cases to count the reputational damage that companies suffer in this case. And of course, they are very difficult to detect. Some info stealers can operate silently on the background, and it makes almost impossible to detect those users. But you know, while other threats were identified in 2023, like last year, like ransomware, backdoors, and stuff like this, info stealers, they pose the most widespread new threat. And that's something that we want to pay attention to. One of my favorite phrases over here, control is just an illusion, love this phrase. I know, and you guys know, that everyone can be hacked, and EDR cannot only resolve, it's not the only tool that can resolve your issues. We already mentioned people, processes, we mentioned techniques and everything that needs to be gathered together to gain a solid cybersecurity wall, solid cybersecurity posture. So I would probably emphasize that malicious actors are smart guys. There is no need to underestimate them. And they love working with when everyone else rests, right? Especially during long weekends, during or before major holidays like Christmas. Think about who's responsible for managed detection and response or cybersecurity when your team is out. So again, EDR is a great tool, but each endpoint protection system needs to have one, as for me. Just make sure it doesn't work like this. what happens, remember that each security tool, endpoint detection, network detection, SIEM solutions, they're like your favorite pet. They need love, they need care. So make sure you fine tune those tools, make sure you update those, make sure you properly maintain them. Modern EDR systems, they have a good signature-based analysis. They're good shaped. They have behavioral models. Some even possess AI capabilities. But even in this case, few poops can be found on carpet. That's what happened during the incidents that I wanted to share with you at the moment. Look at this Sophos EDR. He's so calm. He's so focused on the work. And that's how he actually reacted when a malicious threat came up on one of the systems that was protected by this EDR. Well, I bet some of security analysts that you work with have a similar posture when they work. And that's how my security analyst reacted when, despite endpoint detection and response system missed the alert, but network detection response system picked it up. That is why modern MDR teams implement checks and balances. You want to make sure that when one security tool fails, the other one picks it up, and suspicious activity is being detected. So in this case, Darktrace, SIEM, when they are properly configured, they help to detect different anomalies inside of your infrastructure, especially when they are bundled with source solutions that speeds up the process. And yeah, that was just a little bit of a spoiler here because you guys already know that Darktrace worked well. What is the typical schema or typical workflow for stealers? So before we start with the story, I just wanted to recap this and make sure that we are on the same page. First of all, you want to deliver the payload. You want to make sure that the phishing website you create, or maybe spam message or USB stick, it's still so popular that you deliver actually this payload. The second step is to make sure that the victim executes the binary file. So once they execute it, you have an access to their computer. And the more creative you are from a perspective of malicious actors, the more effective you are, of course. So they try to make it as real as possible. You will see on a couple of next slides what they actually managed to achieve with the security incident that we had. Once you're in a system, you receive data. You install control over endpoint, and you move on. That's where you use your imagination. You can do lateral movement. You can spread ransomware. Why not? You can engage into botnets, or maybe use this victim as a supply chain for some future attacks. Again, it's not for a hacker to decide what to do. The floor belongs to them. This is the case timeline that we had. So you can see that it took us less than half an hour to detect container threats, and the whole process of recovery took about like 2 hours or so. MDR team managed to detect, isolate, investigate, and restore business procedures for a client within this particular case. So what is the story behind it? First of all, there is a new employee. He's just hired. He's going through his onboarding process, and he wants to install Slack for faster communication with his employees. So he types in, he's lucky. He types in the request in Google, and he's lucky enough to have the first link. It says Slack application for Mac. That's what he wants. That's what he needs. He downloads it, but unfortunately, it was not Slack. It was Slack using you. So type a squatting method, SEO poisoning technique that was used in this case. The user downloads it. He executes the file, and naturally, it asks for his root password because it's a new application that's being installed. Without a doubt, he enters his credentials. Whoop, malicious actors are in. That's everything they needed to get inside of his system. Sounds really simple, right? So simple, so easy, but that's how it actually happened within the real life. And this is the first threshold where modern EDR solutions, modern MDR solutions need to kick in and block it. Like in particular scenario, we had endpoint detection Sophos and Darktrace. Both tools were aimed to detect this type of activities. Unfortunately, EDR, though it has web filtering module, missed this. Unfortunately, when executing the file, it did not see the malicious software that is being installed on the computer. But NDR, the Darktrace, it reacted well. That's the type of alert that we received within the system. And you see that within this alert, we had an unusual suspicious connection that would trigger the attention of Darktrace. First of all, it's not secure connection. So HTTPS was not used. HTTP instead. Usually modern security tools, especially if they are legit ones, do not send data using plain HTTP. The new external IP, something that again needs to pay attention of each and every security analyst. What was this IP? The communication to this IP led to Russia, and that's an additional red flag. And of course, no host name. So usually you have something like host name, something like google.com or other domains, and it's something that helps security analysts to understand that there was possibly a malicious, a legitimate activity. Sorry. What do we see? What do we see next is that security analysts need to gather some context. We do have this activity automated, but I just wanted to show you how it actually operates. So they take IP, they check it for virus title, and they see at the very beginning that it's an atomic stealer. Did anyone hear anything about atomic stealer so far? So when doing this analysis, we do a combination of automation, threat intelligence, integration, and also manual testing. And the goal is to gather context, to understand the IPs, to understand the domains, to understand if there is maybe some multiple sources identified in this scenario. So I asked about the atomic stealer, and that's one of the newest malware on the market. Well, it loves macOS. It works with Chrome, it works with Firefox, with Brave, and other popular browsers. It has wonderful plugins, and it can connect to most cryptocurrency wallets. Besides, it boasts having a vivid web panel. So crypto hackers, some other activities are features of this malware. And it's now distributed over various messengers. They work as the franchise model. It's so much easier now to go and buy this software. You can see on this print screen that for just $1,000 a month, you can get this malware and use it like a subscription model. I've seen actually information not about the atomic stealer, but some other solutions being as low as $75 per month. Well, that's so small investment, and it can bring malicious actors so much results. They can be popular. They can afford buying a house, a car, whatever. It's so much tempting, huh? Just think about it. If this if these malicious malware tools is so cheap and so affordable, security needs to be on top to protect from this type of attacks, definitely. So what we did next, in spite EDR missed the alert, we still use it. It's a valuable part of information. It has a lot of wonderful insight that we need to check. And you want to make sure that there is no other activity related to this, or maybe some other suspicious events is being captured. You want to make sure that this host or maybe some other related machines are not being infected. You want to check processes and make sure that actions are being properly reflected within your system. So the screen just showed that there was no action taken by the tool, like nothing happened. Like what you see on the slide with the fire going wild. It's just working on its regular basis. So we just were doing the initial response, and the initial response usually, after this quick triage, it gives a firm understanding that you need to do something like a containment action. So for these purposes, first of all, we disable the account. We have an automation for this, just a quick clicks, and it helps a lot to decrease mean time to respond. So we are stopping the spreading of this infection. And now the next step, we need to use SIEM solution and network detection response to track possible malicious activities within the infrastructure. So that's what we do. That's what we do as the next step, and that's what we want to present to a customer in the end, at least to understand what was the scope of infected machines. And we initiated a scan. Unfortunately, I don't know, luckily, whatever, it gave no results. So Sophos again said that it's okay, but we managed to analyze the pickup file as well. Pickup file is something that gives you an insight into what's at house. So you can see what data potentially malicious actors were targeting, what they were looking for. Maybe there was like something that they want to specifically go after. This also shows you the techniques that they wanted to exploit in this particular case. So going after pickup file gives you a lot of additional insights and help you to move your investigation into the right direction. But we analyzed the pickup file, and what we figured was just like astonishing. First of all, malicious actors, they received a real gem, a treasure. It's like probably Aladdin going into the cave and finding the old treasures around. They were able to get the corporate Azure AD token. That makes malicious actors something like a wolf in the sheep's clothes. Or if you were a Mario player sometime before, it's like that wonderful mushroom that you eat and grow up in just a second. So having this token just helps you to bypass 2FA. It helps you to act as if you are a legit user, and so systems do not detect your suspicious activity unless you do something stupid, unless you start downloading like lots of files, unless you try to knock on a systems you never knocked on before, and so on and so forth. But in general, having this helps a lot, and malicious actors are now just acting from the standpoint of a legitimate user, and they can roam around everything, trying to understand the potential scope of their future attacks. What information do they typically steal? So just to make it clear, they run after information, after tools, after tokens that could be of use in future. And just check the possible scope of systems in this case, like lots of different systems. And you need to clean all the systems after security incident. You need to make sure that you update each and every security tool, the policy, the users, and so on and so forth. Enormous time, enormous work. That's a lot of things you need to do. So what do they go after? SSH keys, for example, that's, as for me, one of the most important things, and like potentially that's a stolen source code, for example. It's an effective supply chain. It's a backdoor for future projects. You can compromise the network and go from this point to having a SSH key. And that means that you can stay also undetected and work so-called undercover. Documents, well, it speaks for itself, I guess. Any type of sensitive information, like your finance, like a third party, like access to different important PII, and so on and so forth. Again, it's ideal for preparing future attacks. It's ideal when you want to break a company and have a lot of reputational damages to this company. Passwords, again, easy, just take and reuse. Having access to CRM in particular opens plenty of opportunities for malicious actors. I was always, when studying MITRE, I was always wondering the technique saying like a legit usage of passwords and identities. And I was like, why should that be that important? Why should that be that infecting? But it happens that it's a real technique used by a lot of malicious actors, and it's getting more and more widespread at the moment. And of course, cookies. We just discussed it on the previous slide. It's just a great way to bypass MFA, great way to use you as your identity. Maybe just a takeoff here, but guys, girls, just do not store your passwords in the browser history. A lot of people do this. Password managers, they're affordable. You can take something like a free of choice. You can invest a small amount of money, but make sure that you're being protected. But it's really important. Just pay attention to this, please. So the potential next steps for malicious actors would be definitely to use these Azure AD session that they received. Again, they just need to use their imagination in order to understand what they want to achieve. What was the goal behind this campaign? Was it an occasional break into the system, or was it a targeted attack? Again, we do not know the exact goals of this campaign, but as for me, because it was the Slack application downloaded from a website, was just so-called widespread, not a targeted attack, and that's something that we might want to keep in our head as well. They might also look for some stolen files and hope to use them in future. So like something like AWS keys, in case you do not change those after security incident that you had. Maybe something like SSH keys, maybe something other, like even the network diagram that you have, it can help a lot. From the defender's perspective, first of all, you need to rotate active sessions. You want to make sure that you have all compromised systems and all compromised resources being taken care of, most notably the one including Azure AD sessions. Again, rotation of credentials. That's in this particular case, we were lucky enough that this victim just started his operations, and he had just like a couple of accesses granted, and so it helped a lot to localize and restore initial state of security for this company. But again, it was really something impressive. And we also forwarded the request to InfoSec team that are in charge of cybersecurity of the company. So we propose to do the advanced forensics and make sure that everything's fine, everything's you know, in a good shape. I have a new poll for you that I wanted to share. It's on the root cause. So what do you think? What was the root cause for oh, sorry, the wrong poll. What do you think? What is the root cause for these security incidents that we had? Would it be something like wrong poll again? Sorry for this. I think that we had something messed up, but in general, I just wanted to make sure that we're on the same page and wanted to ask you, what do you think is the root cause for the security incident? Is it the employee and him being not attentive enough, so like downloading the malware and installing it on a computer? This may be a poor security awareness program. So the lack of security awareness is something that prevents your employees from having a solid and good knowledge of what and how to react in different cases. Is it the EDR tool failure? So even though employee could, you know, that people, they always do mistakes. They can do something like, you know, stupid, something that you don't expect from them, especially when they are under pressure, time or other pressure. So maybe it's an EDR tool failure that lead to this situation, or is it a firewall misconfiguration? Again, you could probably block this connection on firewall as well. What was actually the root cause? Maybe there is like other option that you have to share with me. It would be great to understand what is actually going on within this particular incident. As for me, I do not have the exact answer. I don't want like probably to have you read my thoughts or my ideas in this. I would probably say that all of these options are fair enough and have the right to live and have the right to have at least one or two action items that need to be taken out of this situation. Good, let's move on. I have one more short story for you that I wanted to share. This story is on just a little bit of different side. So UnderDefense, we do red teaming or ethical hacking as well. And a couple of years ago, we've been invited to test standard operation procedures and test the security measures within a company that actually develops macOS software. So these guys, they actually, I do reward them for this. They had a solid cybersecurity walls. They have a good, you know, measures being implemented. And our initial campaign, as you can see from this slide, it actually failed in like a very short period of time. As long as the first user was compromised, they managed to detect this. They managed to block all of our IP addresses and malicious domains. And so we were really desperate. We thought about what needs to be done and started a new campaign. And while preparing this new campaign, unexpectedly, we received a reverse shell connection to a victim. What happened? Again, just a mistake. After 4 days of this initial campaign, one of the employees of the company, he was out of office. He was not aware about the security campaign that was going on. He did not go through his emails. So he opened the suspicious email, the one that we sent, and unknowingly he visited this website, the Typo Squad website. He used his cell phone. This actually bypassed all clients implemented incident response restrictions, all filtering everything. And we were not spotted. We were not blocked. IT team was confident that they actually won this round. So the key points from this is that, first of all, it took 2 minutes to regain access. And then 7 days, we were just doing whatever we wanted. Look at the slides. So I just want to emphasize that your MDR team, they need to be they need to stay cautious and laser focused all the time, even when you think that you're past the security incident, even when you feel that there is everything's gone now. Make sure you completely add some resources to monitor, to react to suspicious activity, even to do a threat hunting for, let's say, 5, 10, 15 days, depending on infrastructure, depending on your setup. That's something really important, something that I want you to really pay attention to. So our takeaway here from this presentation that I wanted to share with you today is that you need to have, first of all, checks and balances. When one tool fails, make sure there is another solution and the solution that supports. The other one is that I would want you to rely on tools and people both. Tools and people augmenting each other and making sure that they are working properly. And just spice it up with some AI, some automation, something on top of it that will just speed up the process, release unnecessary work, and help your analyst, your tools to actually focus on what's going on within the infrastructure that you have. I think that one of the most important part as well is that you do not underestimate the hackers. Once they smell the blood, they will be back. Once they are in your infrastructure, they are just coming back and back and again. They can sell information to other folks that might be more sophisticated. Maybe they will be preparing targeted attack and so on and so forth. So you would just want to make sure that you are on top of it. Again, I would probably say that you need to pay attention to your employees. It's so much easier to hack people. Hacking tools take so much time. So social engineering tactics is widespreading now. We've seen something like QR code usage, something like web forms filling that lead your employees to share credentials and then grant access to malicious actors into your infrastructure. And the last but not least, maybe act fast. Time is your biggest enemy, and when it comes to security incident, you want to make sure that everything is done in a proper manner. Of course, macOS is targeted, Windows is targeted, Linux is targeted. Human is a vulnerable part, but you want to make sure that you have everything under control, at least as Mr. Robert said, that it's important. I should say that you do not probably want to save on security tools. Just use the ones that you ultimately trust. This is your insurance. This helps to protect you from unexpected in a different unexpected situation, and that's something that helps you to maybe sleep a little bit tighter at night. It's always better to know what was going on within your infrastructure and where you moved to. Do you remember the first time riding the bicycle? Riding the bicycle on your own, I mean, when no one cared for you, no one, none of your parents help you. Incident response lessons are just like riding a bike. You need to keep your balance all the time. You need to keep moving, like Alice in Wonderland did. And sometimes you fall, of course. You can scrape your knee, you can even break something. But hey, at least you learned not to put your hand in the spokes, right? That's what we want to do. That's what we want to focus on. Thank you so much for your attention today. I do hope that this presentation, that this knowledge sharing was something of use. Please let me know if there is anything I can help you with. Drop me a line in LinkedIn or in some other messengers. And if there are any questions that you have, I'll be happy to address those at the moment. We still have a couple of minutes. Yep, I will check the chat section now, and I see that how does your MDR service work with the security tools that companies already have, especially for Macs? UnderDefense MDR service, we tend to take security tools that the company currently owns and take the most ROI out of it. So we will do our best to fine-tune those tools, to take telemetry out of those tools, and bring you the most applicable results possible. In case something doesn't work fine, I'll be the first person to come and say, hey, look, this tool gives us not enough visibility. We are not covering MITRE in the way that we want to do this. And I think that it's not the good solution. Let's refocus. Let's think about something else. Let's just try to maybe even not investing, but having another solution that helps to protect. So especially if you speak for Macs, my main goal is to make sure that people are not being too stubborn, to do not self-estimate them, and do not put as much trust into one security tools, being it Mac, Windows, or whatever. I still want to make sure that we cover the cybersecurity solutions and enhance cybersecurity posture with additional visibility and additional thresholds. I hope this answers your question. Another one is, in your experience, what gets overlooked often in securing Macs at work? Well, I think it partly answered in the previous question. Making sure that you have a good endpoint detection response systems, making sure that they work well, making sure that you monitor telemetry, and that you just do not trust blindly to what the vendors did. Again, remember that everyone can be hacked, and it's just a question of when and why that this action will be taken. That's why I just encourage each and every company to pay attention to like manage detection and response. You need to have an incident response plan. This incident response plan is something that you want to test all the time, periodically. Not if you have incident response on just a paper, think that you do not have one. I know that you just want to make sure that you test those with C-level first, with the applicable incident response team, combine those together, that in case that something big strikes, you guys are prepared. We are prepared. Everyone stays safer. We are on top of 45 minutes that we reserved for this meeting. Thank you so much for your attention, all. Again, I'll be happy to reconnect using LinkedIn. Hope you find it useful. Shoot out your questions. I'll be happy to have my team connecting, having a chat, and trying to resolve the security issues that you have at the moment. Thank you so much, and